Welcome to Monday's first video. Firstly, Oromo Liberation Army today released a detailed statement about the two operations conducted against this group by regional federal forces. Second operation is ongoing. OLA has shared details of how many government soldiers have been killed. Did OLA suffer any losses? We'll have a look at these details shared by Oromo Liberation Army. Secondly, a new story from Tigray, Eritrea border. Some family members, relatives of Eritreans living in border areas are appearing on Eritrean news outlets, social media news outlets, and they are claiming that in an attack from Tigray, hundreds of their cattle were illegally taken away by Tigray forces and some kids as well. They were detained and they are in the custody of Tigray Defense Force. We'll have a look at these claims. And lastly, viewers, a team of data analysts and data scientists has analyzed Tigraygenocide hashtag. We have been seeing this hashtag since the start of Tigray conflict in November 2020. And this team of data scientists is claiming that a deliberate, a planned social media campaign was launched outside Ethiopia in coordination with Tigray fighters' attack on Northern Command. And Tigraygenocide social media campaign was launched before Ethiopian government's military offensive on Tigray, and the night Tigray forces attacked Northern Command. On that night, some accounts were created, social media accounts, Twitter accounts outside Ethiopia, and a campaign was launched. We'll have a detailed look at the findings of these data analysts and scientists. And if Tigray launched a Tigraygenocide social media campaign, what about Ethiopian government? Did it launch any campaign as well? Like No More, like Hands Off Ethiopia? Firstly, viewers, Oromo Liberation Army today shared details of government's two security operations against Oromo Liberation Army, the armed group operating in the Oromia region of Ethiopia for years. OLA said that the first operation started on the 22nd of March. From the 22nd of March till the 10th of June this year, first operation was conducted by government forces. In that operation, several hundred government soldiers were killed. After that, on the 14th of June, Oromo Liberation Army and Gambala Liberation Front, they carried out some operations, they carried out some attacks in Gambala city, Dambidolo and Gimbi. And after that, according to OLA, government orchestrated two massacres in Valaga to prepare the ground for a massive military operation against OLA. And after these massacres, on the 23rd of June, second operation against OLA was launched. And from the 23rd of June till the 12th of August this year, OLA has shared details from this time period in terms of losses suffered by Ethiopian government forces. OLA said that in the second operation, mainly Ethiopian National Defense Force and fighters from Amhara region are participating. Interestingly, there is no mention of Oromia Special Force in this statement. OLA says that so far in this time period, 1005 government soldiers have been killed. In central Oromia, 176 killed, eastern Oromia 5, southeastern 12, southern Oromia 416, in western Oromia 396. So 1005 government soldiers have been killed in the ongoing operation till the 12th of August, according to Oromo Liberation Army. OLA says that it has not suffered any major setbacks. Claims being made by Ethiopian government are false. And government is restricting the access to these areas where fighting is ongoing. That is why government can launch whatever narrative it wants to launch against Oromo Liberation Army, because no independent media is allowed to enter these areas like Vailaga, like Southern Front. That is why false narratives are being launched by Oromia, regional government, Ethiopian federal government, that OLA has suffered heavy losses. Secondly, OLA is accusing government that it is targeting civilians. That 5,000 civilians have been detained since the start of these operations, and more than 200, around 290 were killed in extrajudicial killings. People are being killed on suspicion of having sympathies for Oromo Liberation Army. Their houses are being set on fire, and delivery of aid to the areas, to the people who are seen as pro-OLA, as sympathizers of OLA, is being restricted. And lastly, OLA mentions international community's position. It says that international community is disinterested. It is not showing any interest. It is adopting the policy of appeasement. And OLA, which is fighting for self-determination, is being presented by Ethiopian government as a terrorist organization. OLA is fighting for the rights of its people. And lastly, Oromo Liberation Army, which offered truce a few days ago, now says that peace can come after the removal of Abiy Ahmed regime, quote unquote. For peace and negotiations, Abiy regime should be removed, says Oromo Liberation Army. And it is requesting international community to play a constructive role so that atrocities against Oromos could be stopped. So we can sum up that OLA is denying that it has suffered any major losses in this operation. On daily basis, Ethiopian state media is sharing pictures, videos of captured OLA fighters. Their weapons are being shown. Their destroyed camps are being shown, though no top commanders have been arrested so far. How to conclude? Both sides are making claims. What we have learned from the ground is that on southern front, OLA did suffer some losses. And if you have a look at the figures shared by OLA, much of the fighting was seen on three fronts, central, southern and western fronts, where according to OLA, more government soldiers were killed. So what we have learned is that on southern front, OLA did suffer some losses. The way it was operating along the main road, Kenya, Ethiopia road, we saw videos of OLA collecting taxes there along a road which passes through Guji, I think. OLA was operating freely there before the start of this operation. Now, reportedly, OLA has been pushed back from some of its strongholds. And OLA is no more collecting taxes along the road, which it was before the start of this operation. So on southern front, OLA has suffered some losses. In Valega, situation is still volatile. In Valega, OLA can hit where it wants to hit. Let's see, we'll have to wait more to see the outcome of these operations. Secondly, viewers, some relatives of Eritreans who live on Tigray, Eritrea border, on Eritrea side of the border, have been interviewed by some news outlets, Eritrean news outlets, and they are claiming that an attack was carried out more than a week ago from Tigray on an Eritrean village. No statement from Tigray regional government, from Eritrean government as well. But those who have been interviewed, they claim that Sorona, which is a region in Eritrea, in Sorona there is a village Anda Bastifanos Silolo. Enda Bestifanos Silolo. In this village, which is not far away from Tigray-Eritrea border, in this village from Tigray side of the border, an attack was carried out. And some Muslim kids, Muslim youth, they were arrested. They were captured by attackers from Tigray. And cattle of the residents who live in this village, they were seized by attackers as well. Some say cattle of entire village were taken away by the attackers to Tigray from this village, Enda Bestifanos Silolo. Incident happened more than a week ago. Who were the attackers? A Tigray Defense Force, local Tigrayans, some armed gangs. It's not clear. But there was no military engagement. It's not that fighting erupted there. It's some sort of cross-border attack from Tigray by a group. Could be fighters, could be soldiers, could be criminal elements. It happened more than a week ago. Such gangs are operating in Tigray as well, which are involved in attacks on civilians. Law and order situation in Tigray is not very ideal. People are complaining that street crime is on the rise, that it's difficult to move in Tigray freely, keeping in view the armed gangs which are operating, partly due to the humanitarian situation. People are now starting to receive food, and in recent months we have seen that people were dying of hunger. That is why some armed groups came into existence and they started their operations. We're not sure who conducted this attack. Some armed group, Tigray fighters, or some government-backed militia. It's not clear. But several relatives of the families in Enda Bastifanos Silolo village have appeared and they have shared their accounts on some news outlets. Lastly, viewers, Tigraygenocide hashtag has been investigated by a team of data analysts and scientists. GetFactET is the name of a platform which analyzes social media trends, hashtags, and a team of experts analyzed Tigraygenocide hashtag. When was the first tweet created with hashtag Tigraygenocide? Because this hashtag helped a lot in internationalizing Tigray conflict, and Tigrayans say that they are victims of genocide. a very impressive, effective social media campaign was launched by Tigrayan diaspora community. Question is, when was the first tweet with Tigraygenocide hashtag created? The scientists, data analysts, they claim that on the night between 3rd and 4th of November 2020, 17 accounts were created, and these accounts tweeted with hashtag Tigraygenocide. Then on the 4th of November, 184 accounts were created who tweeted with hashtag Tigraygenocide. On the 5th of November 2020, 156 accounts were created. In the month of November, or from the 5th of November till the 30th of November 2020, 1,633 accounts were created. And most of these accounts were outside Ethiopia. They were account holders, they were based in Colorado, Melbourne, UK, and some other places. Later, some people from Kenya and Tanzania joined as well in tweeting with Tigraygenocide hashtag. These analysts claim that a deliberate, planned social media campaign was launched with a Tigraygenocide hashtag before the start of Ethiopian government's military offensive on Tigray. While Tigray fighters were attacking northern command of Ethiopian National Defense Force in Tigray, when several bases of ENDF were attacked in Tigray. During the attack, accounts were being created and tweets were being shared with hashtag Tigraygenocide. So it was a planned campaign before the start of Ethiopian government's military operation. What about Ethiopian government launched campaigns? Hands Off Ethiopia campaign. No More campaign launched by Ethiopian diaspora community. Harmila Regawi was supporting and organizing that campaign. All social media campaigns are launched almost in the same manner that they are planned. Hashtags are planned, then there are people who are told to share tweets. That is how campaigns are launched. It's not surprising. But if you say that Tigraygenocide campaign was launched before Ethiopian government's military offensive on Tigray, can you deny that human rights abuses in Tigray were committed? You cannot deny. I never use the word genocide. I always say that human rights abuses were committed in Tigray. Tigray was put under a total siege. No internet, no telephone, no aid being allowed to enter Tigray, no electricity, and military operation ongoing. Eritreans part of the operation, but both governments kept on denying. So it was a siege of Tigray. In that period, Tigray's infrastructure was destroyed. Tigray's wealth was looted. Tigray suffered a lot. And with this Tigraygenocide social media campaign, Tigrayan voices reached international platform. That is how this conflict was internationalized. So the analysts might be correct in their findings that Tigraygenocide social media campaign was launched before the start of Ethiopian government's military operation on Tigray. It means that Ethiopian government's operation, military offensive on Tigray was expected. Tigray was expecting that it would happen. That is why it launched a campaign in advance, Tigraygenocide social media campaign. This finding of Get Fact ET is now being shared, tweeted by Eritrean activist, Eritrean information minister, who said that, see, Tigraygenocide is a false claim being made by Tigrayans. There was no genocide when the tweets started. It means that it was a social media campaign just to internationalize the issue of Tigray conflict. Thank you for watching.